Hi there, I'm Admiral, and in this video I'll be trying to beat Pokémon Emerald with a team of only Salamence and Metagross. Honestly, I'm really excited for this one. Not only is Emerald my favorite Pokémon game, but on top of that I get to use Salamence, one of my favorite Pokémon. Even better, Metagross is an incredible partner for Salamence. Hoenn is the only region so far to introduce 2 pseudo-legendary Pokémon, so I'm beyond happy to have an excuse to play this game again. First, let me talk a little about our team. Right off the bat, our stats and typings are great. Salamence has incredible offensive stats and speed, with a dual dragon and flying type. Metagross is a slower physical powerhouse, with a dual steel and psychic type. Both members of the team are going to hit like trucks. Even with its pretty middling special attack, Metagross should be able to do great work with Stab Psychic. On top of that, Salamence can learn some really powerful moves of its own, including Flamethrower, Dragon Claw, and Brick Break. Our types play off of each other beautifully too. They share no weaknesses, so there shouldn't be anything that threatens our whole team. On top of that, Salamance's immunity to ground and Metagross's monstrous attack stat means that Earthquake is perfect for Metagross to have in double battles since it won't risk damaging Salamence. Heck, even our abilities are incredible. Salamance's Intimidate lowers the attack stat of opposing Pokemon, and Metagross's Clear Body prevents other Pokemon from reducing its stats. In addition to our Pokemon being great, I'll be doing a lot of carrying in this run too. Emerald is easily my most played Pokemon game. Unlike our last challenge, a blind run in Heart Gold, one could argue that I know way too much about Emerald. One day I might seriously consider trying to 100% complete the game, but that day is not today. Even with just 2 Pokemon, I should have no trouble flying through this one. Honestly, the only problem I'm expecting in this run is our level up moveset, especially early on. Salamence will be relying on Headbutt and Bite until learning Emperor at level 25, while Metagross will only really be able to use Confusion and Metal Claw until learning Psychic at level 38. Luckily, the first 2 gyms are Rock and Fighting, so Metagross should be okay to handle at least those battles for us. As with the last videos, I'll be writing the script for this as I'm playing, so you'll get mostly unfiltered thoughts as commentary. With that much shorter introduction than last time finished, I'm finally ready to hop into Little Root Town and get the team together. Moving into town, I meet May, one of my favorite rivals, and Professor Birch before obtaining our starter, a Salamence that I named Kakashi. I've used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Mudkip with Salamence. Like always, this started as a color-coordinated swap of blue for blue, but Grovyle is easily our best matchup, so it's worked out in my favor. I say Grovyle here and not its final form of Sceptile, because the rival in Gen 3 never fully evolves our starter, a misplay that the rival corrects in the Gen 6 remakes. Professor Birch encourages me to find May and battle her, so on the way I pop into the Oldale Town Pokemon Center to snag our other team member from the box, a Metagross that I've nicknamed Guy. With that, here are our starting stats. Kakashi has a hasty nature, which buffs our speed at the cost of our defense. Guy has a mild nature, also cutting its defense in exchange for greater special attack. Honestly, these aren't bad at all. With these 2 in the party, our first fight against May shouldn't be an issue. I'm right, as Kakashi just smacks her Trico with a couple of headbutts to win the match. May and Professor Birch find me impressive enough to give me the Pokedex, and I head out to conquer the world. I make my way to Rustboro, seat of the first gym, but visit my dad as I pass through Petalburg. There, I meet a kid named Wally and help him catch a Ralts before leaving town. I catch a couple of Zigzagoon before leaving the area too. They can learn a bunch of HMs, and their pickup ability will be great for acquiring items early on. It's on the way to Rustboro that I have my first encounter with one of this game's 2 villainous teams, Team Aqua. Kakashi smacks down the Grunt's Poochyena though, so we just keep it moving north. Once I make it to Rustboro, I run a few errands before challenging the gym. I make sure to pick up the HM for Cut, since it'll be important to progression later on. I also grab the Quick Claw, a held item that sometimes lets the Pokemon holding it move first, and slap it onto Guy. It won't be too helpful right now with the Rock Gym, since Rock types are generally really slow, but the next couple of gyms are fighting an Electric type, so Guy could use its speed help. After that, I get Guy to level 15 and Kakashi to level 14 and head to the gym. The battle against Roxanne isn't too difficult. She opens with a Geodude, and Guy comes out on our end. I go for Takedown and miss. I wish I could say that I had a reason for choosing that move, but I changed our move order right before this and forgot where Metal Claw was, so muscle memory kicked in. Luckily, Geodude just misses Rock Tomb, so my mistake goes unpunished as it and the next Geodude go down to a single Metal Claw each. Last out is Nosepass, who I know won't get one shot like the Geodudes. Guy's first Metal Claw leaves it close to red health, and it retaliates with perhaps the weakest Rock Tomb in history. A held Oranberry takes Nosepass out of healing range, but not out of Metal Claw range, so a follow-up hit takes it down, winning us an easy first badge. I leave the gym and watch the same Team Aqua Grunt as before mug the same Devon researcher as before, but healing Guy's 3 missing points of HP is more important, so I head to the Pokemon Center first. After clapping the Team Aqua Grunt a second time, I meet Mr. Briney, who offers to give us a lift to Dewford Town on his ship. That's convenient, because the Devon Corporation president sends me to Dewford to deliver a letter. It also happens to be where Brawly, the next gym leader, makes his home, so I grab the goons from the box and head out to set sail. On my way out of town, I run into May. She gives me her phone number and I accept the optional battle. She leads with a Wingull, but Kakashi proves to be the superior flying-type Pokemon and knocks it out of the sky with a single headbutt. Trico comes out next, but just gets one-shot by a critical headbutt. With that, we're free to move on. Once I'm in Dewford Town, I snag the Silk Scarf and the Old Rod. I give the Silk Scarf to Kakashi. Since Headbutt is its best attacking move, juicing it up won't hurt us. I fish up a Tentacool and pop it into the box for the time being before heading to the Granite Cave to find Steven. Tentacool will be a helpful HM Pokemon later on, but it won't be useful until then, so it's going to stay in the box for a while. I give the letter to Steven, one of the goats of Pokemon, before heading back to town for the gym battle. I think our best strategy will be to let Guy handle Brawly's first 2 Pokemon, and then turn to Kakashi for his Makuhita. Even though Confusion is super effective, I'm not sure Guy's special attack is good enough to use him for a bulkier Pokemon, which Makuhita certainly is. Brawly opens with Machop as I lead with Guy. Guy outspeeds to one-shot with Confusion, so Brawly sends Metatite out next. I know that its only attacking move is Focus Punch, so I'm not super worried. It goes for Bulk Up on the first turn as Confusion takes it to what seems to be exactly half of its health. A follow-up Confusion finishes it as it just goes for Focus Punch, so it's out to Kakashi for Makuhita. Makuhita gets hit hard by a headbutt before doing very little damage with Vital Throw. A Citrus Berry brings it almost back to full health and Kakashi smacks it back down with another headbutt. Makuhita just flinches, so a third headbutt gets us the badge. My next stop is Slateport for some Team Aqua stuff, and then Mauville for the Electric Gym. I also make sure to pick up the Harbor Mail so I can get the coin case for gambling. But before I get to Mauville, there's a mandatory battle with May. The battle is pretty easy, as Kakashi just sweeps through with a couple of critical headbutts, so we can move right along. I make it to Mauville and immediately start gambling for Flamethrower. There are some mandatory Steel types in this game, and one in the next gym, so I need to wait to deal with them since I won't get Earthquake until before the last gym. Plus, this will give me a great way to avoid getting paralyzed by static. I also get to fight Wally, but just smack his realms with a bite from Kakashi. Next up is Watson and the Electric Gym. He leads with Voltorb and I send out Kakashi. Kakashi tanks a soft Shockwave after hitting a pretty hard headbutt, so one more headbutt finishes off the Pokeball lookalike. Next up is Electric, who Kakashi smacks with Flamethrower. It hits a decent Shockwave, but Kakashi is able to finish it without issue. Third out is Magneton, and Kakashi sends it down all the way to red health with one Flamethrower. It tries to paralyze Kakashi with Thunder Wave, but a held Cherry Berry fixes that, so we're fine. Watson keeps healing, but we eventually get it to go down. Last is Manectric. Kakashi does pretty okay damage with Flamethrower, and Manectric is able to retaliate with a Thunder Wave that leaves us paralyzed. A Shockwave takes Kakashi down to just 9 health, but Kakashi is able to break him with a critical Flamethrower to finish the battle. I have to do a bunch of story stuff with Team Magma before I can open up the next gym, so I take care of that. I clear out Mount Chimney without too much trouble, especially with Archie the Giga Chad handling 3 Magma Grunts alone, and make my way to Lava Ridge for the next gym. I get the team closer to level 30 before starting the fight so Flannery doesn't kick our butts, especially since Guy is weak to fire and ground, 2 types prevalent on our team. This is gonna have to be a Kakashi sweep. Actually starting the fight, Flannery leads with Numel. Kakashi sends it to red health with one headbutt, and it flinches before Flannery heals it. Kakashi smacks it again, and then Flannery doesn't heal, so we can just finish it off. Slugma is next, but Kakashi crits it with a headbutt, so it's just a one-shot. Camerupt comes out third, and it takes headbutts pretty well. I realize that I forgot to put the Silk Scarf back onto Kakashi, so we barely miss out on 2-shotting it. I eventually take it down as it just goes for tackle after setting up a Sunny Day, so Torkoal was last out. Luckily, we resist fire, so I'm hopeful that a sun-boosted stab overheat won't ruin us, but Torkoal never actually goes for it. Instead, it just uses Body Slam as Headbutt and Bite eventually take it out. I'm not sure why it didn't just blast us, but I'm fine with it since it got us a pretty easy win. Our next victim is Norman, professional gym leader and father. He rocks the normal type, which means that guy should be able to wall his team pretty hard. He leads with Spinda, who uses Teeter Dance to confuse Guy after taking a rough Metal Claw. Another Metal Claw finishes it, so Norman sends out Vigoroth next. It outspeeds and hits a soft slash as Metal Claw does a decent bit of damage. A critical Metal Claw on the next turn sends it deep into the red, so Norman heals. Vikroth switches to using Feint Attack as Guy eventually finishes it with Metal Claw. Third out is Slaking, the real threat of the battle. Guy outspeeds and opens with Scary Face as Slaking just goes for counter, and now the cycle begins. Slaking's ability is Truant, which only allows it to act every other turn. Since it knows counter, I use Scary Face on turns it can act, and attack on turns that it can't. This isn't a perfect strategy since it can just use Facade or Feint Attack instead, and eventually the big thing takes Guy down. Luckily, Guy's done enough damage to leave it with just a little health left, so a critical headbutt from Kakashi finishes it off. That gets Kakashi to level 30, where he learns Protect. I want to throw myself out of a window, and I'll explain why after I beat Linoone, Norman's last Pokemon. A headbutt leaves it just above half health, which is perfect since it uses Belly Drum, taking it down to a sliver. A follow-up headbutt just gets us the badge with a little issue. As I make my way to Fortree City, home of the 6th gym, I'll talk a bit about why I was so heartbroken seeing Kakashi learn Protect. The reason is that it would have made the Slaking fight so much easier. Instead of hoping that Slaking used counter instead of Facade or Feint Attack, I could have just used Protect on turns that it could act, taking us from a 50% chance of taking damage to a 0% chance. If I'd just paid a little more attention to our level up moveset, I would have caught that move and not had to risk fighting Slaking at all. It worked out, but I'm still a bit annoyed at myself. Either way, we get to move on to the next gym. First, I have to fight May again, but this is the last mandatory fight. I lead with Kakashi as she sends out Slugma Nuts. One headbutt from Kakashi is all it takes to knock it out, so Lombre comes out next. I use Protect, expecting a fake out, and my massive brain play works, keeping us from flinching. I have Kakashi use Headbutt again, which not only takes Lombre to yellow health, but also makes it flinch. A follow-up headbutt finishes it off, so May's last Pokemon comes out. Her starter, Grovyle. I use Flamethrower, expecting it to do good damage despite the rain, but it leaves Grovyle just above half health. It misses a Screech, so Kakashi has no problem taking it out with a headbutt, winning the fight and getting us Fly. Before I can challenge the gym, I have to learn to fight Kecleon, so I meet up with Steven on the bridge past Fortree. One of my favorite details about this encounter is that you can see Kecleon's shadow on the water before you fight it. Afterwards, I get both Kakashi and Guy up to level 34 and tackle the gym. Winona leads with Swablu and I send out Kakashi. A headbutt takes Swablu deep into the red as it just sets up a safeguard. Winona heals, so 2 more headbutts take down the little bird. Altaria comes out next and is easily Winona's most dangerous Pokemon. With Earthquake, Dragon Dance, and Dragon Breath, this thing can easily sweep us if I'm not careful. I switch to Guy and use Scary Face. I'm hoping that by lowering Altaria's speed, I can bait the AI into using Dragon Dance a bunch while I just take Altaria down. It works, but Guy just barely misses out on the kill with Metal Claw. An Earthquake takes him down to just 6 HP, but I stay in because I expect Winona to heal her beaten and bruised bird, but instead she keeps Altaria in to outspeed and finish Guy off. Kakashi comes out, and I go for Bite for a bit of chip damage, again expecting a heal, but instead she hits Kakashi hard with Dragon Breath before going down. Next out is Tropius, who gets hit with a nasty Flamethrower before just setting up a Sunny Day. That boosts Flamethrower's power, but it doesn't matter as Winona doesn't heal, letting Tropius go down. She sends out Pelipper next, who takes a good chunk of damage from Headbutt. It confuses Kakashi with Supersonic, and then spams Protect as Kakashi hits itself. We go down to just 9 HP as Winona heals, but then crit a Headbutt to take Pelipper all the way back down to red health, and then finish it off as we snap out of Confusion. Last out is Skarmory, but we outspeed with a super effective Flamethrower to win a very close match. With that harrowing experience behind us, we have a lot of story stuff to get through before the next gym. We've kind of blitzed through this run so far, and I'm not sure if that's something to attribute to the game's pacing compared to the others we've played, or if I'm just so comfortable with Emerald that I can get through it without any real trouble. It's probably the first one, but I like to pretend I'm good at things, so we'll just say it's both. I head to Lily Cove before going to Mount Pyre, an important stop for us since it has the Shadow Ball TM. Ghost is physical in this generation, so we'll have Guy learn this one for the Psychic Gym coming up. We'll also have to contend with a Ghost type Elite 4 member, so this move will be crucial later on too. Before I go to Mount Pyre, I decide to do the optional battle with May outside of the Lily Cove department store. She opens with Tropius, who nearly gets one-shot by Flamethrower. It retaliates with a soft stomp, and then gets finished off by another Flamethrower. Slugma comes out next, but I'm pretty sure I've one-shot it with Headbutt literally every time I've battled May, so yeah. Third is Pelipper, who wastes my time with the double Protect before 3 Headbutts take it down. Last is Grovyle, but it's not raining this time, so 1 Flamethrower wins us the battle as Kakashi once again terrorizes poor May. Leaving Lily Cove, I track teams Aqua and Magma to Mount Pyre's Peak, where I receive a key to the Magma hideout on Mount Chimney. I head back to Lava Ridge so I can loop back around to the Jagged Pass and Team Magma's base. I encounter Maxie at the end, preparing to awaken Groudon, so I beat him up after Groudon flies off. I don't think Groudon can learn Fly, but that's none of my business, so I just head to Sleeport next. Once I'm at Sleeport, I watch Team Aqua jack a sub and take it to Lily Cove. I head there myself and go straight to their hideout, tearing through it at a terrifying pace. I beat the absolute dickens out of everyone in there, opening up the rest of the map. Our next stop is Moss Deep, home of the Psychic Gym. Upon arrival, I teach Shadow Ball to Guy and have him start clearing out the gym trainers for levels. He hits level 38 and learns Psychic, so a little more work finishes the gym trainers off. I give the black glasses to Kakashi so Bite will hit harder, and make sure to stick the HM Pokemon in the box. This is a double battle, so if either of our team members go down, I don't want to be forced into using a Pokemon outside of the challenge's parameters. Ooh, and fun fact about me, as a kid, this fight took me dozens of attempts because I hadn't figured out that my fighting type Blaziken wasn't a good matchup into their Psychic types. Speaking of the gym battle, Tate and Liza are up. They open with Xatu and Claydol. I have Kakashi and Guy focus on Claydol first, hitting it with a Bite into Shadow Ball before it can act. Xatu just goes for a Confuse Ray on Kakashi. Solrock comes out to replace Claydol, so I have Kakashi and Guy rush down Xatu next. Xatu gets a Confuse Ray off on Guy before Shadow Ball can take it out, so Guy hits itself in confusion as Solrock sets up a Sunny Day. Kakashi is able to take Xatu down on the next turn, so Lunatone comes out as Solrock takes a hard hit off of Shadow Ball. Solrock's head Citrus Berry pulls it out of range for a bite from Kakashi to kill, so it's left with just the tiniest bit of health, letting it hit Guy hard with a sun-boosted, super effective flamethrower. I expect Tate and Liza to heal Solrock here, so I double up into Lunatone to take it out. I'm right, because of course I'm right, and it's just one more 2-hit combo to finish out Solrock and get a fairly straightforward win. Anyway, more story stuff goes down. I get to help the King of Hoenn, Steven, stop Team Magma from committing an act of domestic terror by trying to use rocket fuel to induce a volcanic eruption. As a side note, I don't think that would actually work. I'm pretty sure it would just blow everything up normally instead of volcanically. That earns me the HM for Dive, which means that Tentacool finally gets to come out of the box. After that, I have to meet Kyogre and battle Archie for the first and last time, picking up the TM for Earthquake while I'm down there. Then I get to meet the last legendary of the run, Rayquaza. My favorite legendary breaks... Oh hey, maybe I should do a Rayquaza only run sometime. Anyway, it breaks up the fight between Groudon and Kyogre, opening up the 8th gym for us to conquer. I have to admit, I'm pretty worried about this one. We don't have access to any moves that are super effective against water types, and we're a bit under-leveled for this part of the game. On the plus side, Juan's Kingdra should be easy to deal with for once, since its only weakness before Gen 6 is Dragon, and Kakashi has Dragon Breath. Otherwise, though, I'm not sure we take this easily. I teach Kakashi Brick Break before we start, so I can at least deal with Celio and Groudon, and we begin. Our first attempt starts out great. Kakashi has a Silk Scarf and one-shots Juan's Love Disc with Return. Kingdra comes out next and takes big damage from Dragon Breath. It retaliates with a critical Ice Beam, though, and one-shots Kakashi. I don't think we go down if that doesn't crit, but I'm not sure. Either way, Guy comes out and finishes it off. Next out is Whiscash, who threatens with Earthquake, but eventually goes down to Guy's Shadow Balls. Guy is in shambles though, so Celio just comes out to finish it. I'm gonna run this back. If Kingdra doesn't crit, I think we take this no problem. Out of curiosity, I do some research and learn that Kingdra does, in fact, one-shot Kakashi no matter what. Without a crit, Kakashi doesn't guarantee a one-shot with any move. I need Kakashi for Cronut and Celio, so Guy is gonna have to handle this one. It takes a few attempts to get one where Kingdra doesn't ruin us with Double Team, but the fight starts out roughly the same. Love Disc gets smacked down by Return, but I decide to keep Kakashi in this time and hard switch to Guy. For some reason, I thought baiting Ice Beam instead of Double Team would be helpful in some way, but it isn't. On the next turn, Kingdra starts setting up as we hit a hard Psychic that lowers its special defense. Since we do much more damage now, Kingdra just spams Rest and Water Pulse before finally going down. Whiscash comes out to threaten Guy with Earthquake, so Kakashi comes out. A Return takes it below half health as it sets up an Amnesia, so Kakashi just takes it down with another Return. Celio is next out and takes a hard Brick Break before hitting an equally hard Aurora Beam. Juan heals it on the next turn, so Kakashi takes it right back down before finishing it on the turn after. Last out is Crawdon. Kakashi hits it deep into the red with a Brick Break, but it finishes Kakashi off with a Crab Hammer. Guy comes out to avenge his pal and wins us the battle with a Metal Claw. I make a quick trip to Meteor Falls to snag the TM for Dragon Claw, and now it's just Victory Road between us and the Elite Four. The first challenge we face is Wally, one of my other favorite rivals. If you haven't already noticed, there's a lot of good stuff for me in this game. Anyway, he leads with his Altaria, who's able to barely hang on from Kakashi's Dragon Claw. It just goes for Dragon Dance, so a critical Dragon Claw on the next turn takes it down after Wally heals it. Next out is Delcatty, but one Brick Break from Kakashi is all it takes to remove it from battle. Third up is Magneton, so I switch to Guy for Earthquake. Roselia is out next, and Guy puts it away with the Psychic. Last up is Gardevoir, who can take Shadow Ball surprisingly well, but doesn't ever actually attack before going down. I get through Victory Road relatively unscathed, but I know I'm not ready for the Elite Four. I want to be at least level 55 on both Kakashi and Guy before I attempt to do this, and probably even higher since the champion isn't going to have any Pokemon I can easily damage. I have to make sure I am very ready for this. Also, while I was grinding, I encountered a shiny Hariyama. I'm obviously not using it, but I still thought it was cool enough to share. After I grind, I use a few rare candies that I've picked up over the run to top off our level at 56 each, spend my savings on full restores and revives, and head into the battle. Here are our stats now. The first Elite Four member is Sydney, a trainer of Dark-type Pokemon. After writing this section and saving, I realized that I didn't record any of the fight, so I get to recreate it artistically when I edit the whole video. Can't wait. Anyway, Sydney leads with Mightyena as I send out Kakashi. We trade Intimidates, and a Brick Break from Kakashi leaves Mightyena in the yellow. Kakashi gets hit with a Sand Attack, but connects with another Brick Break to finish the big dog off. I switch to Guy to shake off the attack and accuracy losses as Absol comes out. I nail it with our newly acquired Meteor Mash for a one-shot, and get the attack buff to boot. Shiftry comes out next, but also gets smoked by a single Meteor Mash. I switch back to Kakashi as Cacturne comes out, and nail it with a Flamethrower for a one-shot. It crit, but I don't think it mattered. Last out is Crawdaunt, and Kakashi one-taps it with Brick Break for a clean battle. With that, we head to our next match. I triple-check that I'm actually recording this one, and lead with Guy. He knows Shadow Ball, so he's our best answer to a full Ghost-type team. Phoebe leads with her first Dusclops, and it opens with a Protect, so our first Shadow Ball doesn't do anything. A follow-up Shadow Ball connects and gets a special defense drop as Dusclops just goes for a Confuse Ray. Phoebe heals on the next turn, so I go for Psychic. I intend to just use the special defense drop to get some extra damage in, so Shadow Ball will finish it, but it knocks Dusclops out instead, which works for me. Phoebe sends out her second Dusclops next, threatening with Earthquake. I don't do the smart thing and switch to Kakashi here, instead opting to smack it with another Shadow Ball. It leaves Dusclops in the yellow as Guy takes a very surprisingly soft Earthquake. I guess Dusclops has bad physical stats, or our defense is way more cracked than I thought. Either way, after a Citrus Berry heals it, Guy finishes it off as their first Spinette comes out. I let Guy one-shot it with Shadow Ball and then switch to Kakashi for Sableye. It goes down to a few Dragon Claws, and Phoebe's second Spinette comes out, but just gets one-tapped by a Shadow Ball from Guy, so we win another straightforward Elite Four fight. The third Elite Four member is Glacia, a trainer of Ice-type Pokemon, and I can't decide if I'm worried about this one or not. On the one hand, Kakashi is super weak to Ice, but on the other hand, Brick Break and Meteor Mash are super effective to Ice, so it can go either way. Glacia leads with her first Celio as I send out Guy. A Meteor Mash leaves Celio in the red as it sets up a Hail. Glacia heals and a follow-up Meteor Mash gets the attack boost and leaves it in the red again. I finish it off with Earthquake so there's no chance it misses, and Walrein comes out next. Meteor Mash does good damage and gets another attack boost, as it nails Guy with a critical hit Surf. Guy is able to finish off the blubbery blue beast, and Glacia sends out her first Glalie. It's a clean one-shot with Meteor Mash, so her second Glalie enters the fray. Guy misses his first Meteor Mash of the battle, and I'm surprised that it's only the first, given its 85 accuracy, but Glalie just sets up Hail, so a follow-up connects to take it down in one hit. Last out is another Celio, so I switch to Kakashi. A Brick Break leaves it in the yellow, and my heart stops as it goes for Blizzard. Luckily, that move only gets 100 accuracy and Hail starting in Gen 4, so Kakashi is able to dodge it. Glacia heals, so 2 more Brick Breaks get us the win. That would have been much easier without that crit from Walrein, but a dub is a dub. The final Elite Four member is Drake the Dragon Master. He has some scary Pokemon, including a Salamence of his own, but Kakashi should be able to sweep through with Dragon Claw. Whatever that can't take out, Guy will have no problem cleaning up. Drake leads his Shelgon, and I send out Kakashi. Shelgon opens with Protect, which is what I'd expected, but unfortunately I don't know any setup moves that will let me capitalize on it, so I just went for Dragon Claw in case it didn't use Protect for some reason. On the next turn, Dragon Claw actually hits, taking Shelgon down in one hit. Altaria comes out next for Drake, but Kakashi just one-shots it with a critical Dragon Claw. Flygon comes out after, but it goes down just like Shelgon and Altaria before it. Salamence is out fourth and is able to survive a Dragon Claw deep in the red. It hits Kakashi with a Dragon Claw of its own, but I'm not worried. If Kakashi can't one-shot it, there's no way it's one-shotting Kakashi without a crit. Drake heals it a couple of times, but Kakashi eventually secures the knockout. In hindsight, I should have used Return when he healed so Dragon Claw could get the clean takedown, but I just didn't for some reason. Last up is Kingdra, but a Dragon Claw takes down easily. Last up is the champion, Wallace. He has a team of scary water types, but I think Kakashi and Guy can handle it. Wallace sends out Wailord, and Kakashi comes out for us. I hit it for good damage with Return, and then it nails Kakashi with a Blizzard, so I just immediately reset, because fuck that. Let's try that again. Wallace leads with Wailord, and I send out Kakashi. Same result. That's fine, I just have to keep running it back until he misses. This fight actually takes me a lot of attempts though. Pretty much every water type in the game knows an ice type move for coverage, so Kakashi is never truly safe. Even worse, water is one of the only types that steel doesn't resist, and it resists steel in turn, so Meteor Mash is unreliable. My biggest gripe with this game has always been the double water boss, but now I'm really feeling that pain since I can't just blitz it with Manectric and whatever grass type I've picked up for the playthrough and be done. This takes me way too many attempts, but I eventually get this incredible run. I've just changed to leading Guy, who comes out into Wailord. A Psychic takes the big blue bastard to about half health, as it just nails Guy with the weakest Blizzard in recorded history. A follow-up Psychic takes it down, and Wallace sends out Whiscash, threatening a super effective Earthquake. Kakashi comes out to avoid that, hitting Whiscash with a Dragon Claw as it sets up with an Amnesia. It starts going for Surface, Kakashi smacks it with Return to take it down. Third out is Tentacruel, so I switch back to Guy. It misses 2 Hydro Pumps, so Guy is able to take it down with Psychic. Fourth out is Gyarados, so it's back over to Kakashi. Kakashi starts plugging away with Dragon Claw and Return, as Gyarados stacks Dragon Dance and misses Hyper Beam. Melodic comes out, threatening with Ice Beam, so it's back over to Guy. Psychic does pretty middling damage as Guy just takes hard surfs, but Guy eventually crushes Melodic with a critical Psychic on its last remaining health. Ludicolo is last, and this fight is over. Psychic takes out about a third of its health as it finishes off Guy. Kakashi comes out and wins us the battle with Return, and I am finally done with this. I know that Wallace missing a bunch really helped us win that, but that comes off a disgusting streak of him never missing some notoriously inaccurate moves, so I'm very willing to take it. May and Professor Birch come into the room as Wallace prepares to induct me to the Hall of Fame. I think it's sweet that they beat the Elite Four just so they could come cheer me on, but that's why they're my favorites. Wallace takes me to the back rooms so the credits can start rolling, and I'll talk a little bit while they do their thing. Emerald was the second Pokemon game I beat, after Sapphire, and a big part of the reason you're watching this at all. There are a lot of games I'm good at, enough so that there will be plenty to do after I finish the pseudo-series, but nothing I've enjoyed sharing with others quite so much as Pokemon. I have fond memories of being too young and stupid to have the type chart memorized or to know that it doubles and sometimes quadruples damage, losing to my older friends Salamence and Kingdra over and over since I just wanted to use Blaziken. Emerald is a game I've visited plenty of times, and one I'll probably play through after I finish this series, just for the heck of it. If you're interested in having me record that so you can watch a totally normal playthrough of Emerald, let me know in the comments. I hope that my love for this game has come through just a little throughout this playthrough. Before I sign off, I'm going to do the post-game fight with Steven. Am I going to win at this level? No, of course not. But trying is what matters. I grab my HM Pokemon from the box in Oldale and move on over to Meteor Falls. Yeah, it's very obvious that we're not winning this one without more levels. Steven's got a great team, so I'm not surprised. We can get through Skarmory and sometimes Claydol, but by that point we're in such shambles that there's no real hope left. I'll try to get us to level 60 and try again. At level 60, we can more consistently get to Aggron, but after that it's always a wipe. There's not much to do but get more levels, which I honestly expected. I just chose level 60 since it's the highest I could realistically get to without cheating in Rare Candy. But, since this is the post-game and not a quote-unquote real fight, I hope you guys will forgive me for trying to save myself some time here. There's nowhere good to grind after the Elite Four, so I'm going to help myself out. At level 70, we get smacked around a couple of times until this run. Kakashi hits Skarmory hard with a flamethrower as it sets up spikes. A follow-up flamethrower doesn't kill thanks to Steven healing, but he chooses not to heal after that, so Skarmory goes down. Claydol comes out next, so I switch to Guy. He hits it for about half of its health with Shadow Ball as it just sets up a light screen, and then takes it down on the next turn. Aggron is third up, so I switch to Kakashi. A quad-effective critical Brick Break could probably one-shot Aggron twice over, so Cradily comes out fourth. I switch back to Guy, who nails it with Meteor Mash. Steven keeps healing it as Meteor Mash just misses out on a one-shot, but I'm fishing for the attack boost. I get it and switch to Earthquake as Steven just lets Cradily go down. His Metagross comes out next, so we trade hard Earthquakes. A Citrus Berry takes Steven's Metagross out of range for Steven to heal it, but not out of range for Guy's next Earthquake to take it down, so it's back out to Kakashi for Steven's Armaldo, his last Pokemon. Kakashi does okay damage with a Brick Break, but not enough, so I switch to Dragon Claw and finish it with just 11 HP to spare. Honestly, I'm surprised we didn't need more levels, but I also think that was the absolute lowest level at which this fight was possible. Between failing before and our HP at the end of the fight, there's probably no chance we could have done that any sooner. With that finished, the video too comes to an end. Emerald plays really quickly in my experience, so I was able to crank the gameplay part of this run out in just 2 days. Next up will be the much slower Pokemon Platinum with just a Garchomp. That one will be a mix of the Heart Gold Challenge and the others that I've done, in the sense that I've never actually finished a Sinnoh game, but I've started plenty of playthroughs, so it's only going to be kinda blind. If you enjoyed what you've seen so far and would like to keep watching the stuff that I make, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It'll really help show your support. Also, please remember to leave a comment. Your feedback will help me improve on future projects and will tell me what you might be interested in seeing next. And thank you so much for watching.